Hello YouTube, welcome back to another tutorial on Lee Smathers Photography YouTube channel. Now today we're going to be looking at one of my favorite newest apps, which is called Adobe Premiere Rush. I love editing video, and sometimes when editing video on the full version of Adobe Premiere, it can be very complicated. However, Adobe Premiere Rush is a simplified version of the desktop version of Premiere. One of the greatest things about Premiere Rush is that it is available for both desktop and for any device. All right, let's open up Adobe Premiere Rush. Once you open up the app, you'll see your projects. In the top left-hand corner, we have our settings. You can see all of your preferences, your email, about Rush, preferences, follow us, send feedback, more apps, share app, etc. All right, over here we have the graduation hat where you can see help, learn, and community. And then we have the little communication bubble that has submit feature request or report a bug to Adobe. Down here we can see some of the different projects that I have started and worked on in Premiere Rush. Next, under my project, you'll see one of the projects, Mask. This is a video that I edited completely on Adobe Premiere Rush. I actually did it on the desktop version of Rush, but because I have Adobe Cloud, I'm able to sync the desktop version to the mobile version. When I open it up, you're able to see kind of the layout of Premiere Rush. So, very simplified version of Premiere. In the preview panel, you'll be able to see the play controls. We've got play forward and backward. Down in the bottom, we've got our timeline. I can use my two fingers and spread the timeline out like this. Very helpful. Let's go back home, and we're going to create a new project. To create a new project, you go down to the plus sign. Very simple. We can add media, take video, or photo. Now let's assume we have no video. Really great that we can capture video from our phone, capture any audio from our phone, and we can instantly edit it here on our phone as well. I really want to talk about the camera in Rush. Pretty cool. All right, so here we are. There we are on my camera there. All right, so we can record here. All right, so let's look here at some of the options with the camera. Okay, so we can do our rule of thirds here. Okay, if we wanted light here, we can do light. And we have the ability to rotate our camera as well. Okay, and we've got in our exposure settings, we've got auto. Auto, of course, is gonna do everything auto. I usually don't like auto. With exposure, we can do auto exposure, or we can turn the auto exposure off, and we can, adjust the ISO. I think it was at 250 before. Shutter speed, we can change the shutter speed. Holy moly! But let's go ahead and just keep it on auto exposure there. Auto exposure. I can also use the exposure bias, and I can overexpose or underexpose my video. Pretty cool. Let's just go back to normal. Right here we can do auto white balance, so we can turn it off, and we can mess around with the temperature and the tint. Let's go with auto white balance for right now. And over here next, we could zoom in, but I'm not going to zoom in. I could zoom in. Oh, that's terrible. And best option right here, let's zoom out a little bit. Okay. So the best option here is that we can choose the resolution of the video and our frame rate. I'm going to leave it at 720 and 30 frames per second. Now, I can begin recording. So I'm going to begin recording a little video here, and then I'm going to insert it into Premiere Rush. Hi guys! Thanks for watching, and please do subscribe. Gotta say it sometime, don't I? All right, let's stop that. Okay, now after we've captured it, do you see that little check mark over there and the +1? So that's going to allow me to just bring it, preparing media, and create a new project. We can preview our sequence through the panel at the top, and we can see the sequence on the timeline, and down at the bottom we have all of our different features. So that blue plus sign is just going to allow us to capture, take a new picture or video. We can add a title, add new media, which could be audio, could be still photography, could be video, etc. Or we can do a voiceover with that plus. The next one here we have our project assets. So this project assets could be very similar to like seeing your media browser on Premiere. Here you can see the img_6940 movie file, or you can see the sequence 01. So this project assets is going to let us browse all of the different files that are in this project. Down at the bottom we can arrange it by name, or the next one we can preview what type files that we're able to filter. So we can look at videos only, or we can look at audio only, or images only, etc. But I'm just going to keep all media types there. The next one. Okay, this is really handy here. So this enables us to see all of our different media tracks. For example, right now you see the video file. One thing that's a little bit different from the desktop version of Premiere is that the video file that we just took is combined with the audio. So typically in the desktop version of Premiere, they are going to be separated. They're going to be linked together, but they are separated. But in this case, in Premiere, there's just one track. So we can lock the track, we can mute the track, or we can turn off the visual of the track. I think this is a good time to talk about if you wanted to have your audio and your video files separate. In Rush, the only thing that we're going to be able to do really is to hold down. Okay, so just hold down on that track, and when you hold down on it, when you hold and release, it's going to give you this option to separate audio, expand audio, duplicate, or delete. So I want to separate the audio, but as you can see here, it hasn't really duplicated the audio. It's basically copied and pasted the audio to a new audio track, and then it's turned off the audio in the video track. But it's useful if you wanted to separate your audio. Okay, I'm going to go up to the top here. We can undo that option. Next, we can view our ratio. We can do 16 to 9, 9 to 16, 4 to 5, 1 to 1. So mine is a 9 to 16 format because I filmed it in the upright position of the phone. Let's go ahead and see, how do you cut? So let's say I wanted to cut this file right here. If I wanted to cut, I'm going to scroll over down at the bottom and use the scissors to cut. We can also zoom in to make sure that when we're playing the video and listening to the video, that we want to cut it in the correct spot. So I'm probably going to cut it here after I've talked, and just cut it there. Once you have a cut selected, we have the duplicate. So this is duplicate, and then the next one, let's say we're unhappy with it, you'll just delete it. And the last feature here is the expand audio, which is really helpful whenever you're trying to inspect an area to be able to edit, so that we can see where the voice is starting to die down if we wanted to cut some of this area in there. whenever I'm editing audio, I like to make sure I'm listening to that video and then clip it. All right, under the titles, we have styles and we have more titles. So two different little sections here. These are a bunch of preset titles that can prove to be very helpful for creating your video. I really like this one here, place quick info here. So I'm gonna just drag it and drop it on top of the track and create a new track here. Once you've created a new title, we have the option to be able to edit it and customize it. First of all, by scrolling along the timeline or by pressing the play, you'll be able to see a preview there in the panel there, the top panel. We have, for example, top line, bottom line, which are customizable. We have the vertical line, all customizable. We can change the colors. And then the text here. Okay, so place quick info here. I'm able to change the font, whatever font I want to use, which is in my library here. Fantastic selection of fonts. I can choose the font size. Maybe I want it to be larger. I can do the character spacing. Don't forget, you can do thin, bold, black, whatever the acceptable font styles are for each font. And just all kinds of different customizing things. We can do a color fill. Currently the color fill is white, but if I want it to be black, I can change it here. If I want to add an outline or a shadow to the text, I can do that. There's also different options, for example, to save a template. So if I wanted to save my new font style. There's just so many different options here that we can play with, all kinds of different fonts that are all customizable in the same similar kind of a way. And then we have like 49 pages of other preset titles. I just want to say bravo to Adobe. There's just lots of really useful presets here. And next, transitions. Under transitions, we only have 4 options. We have none, cross dissolve, fade to black, dip to white. Now, in my opinion, I believe these are like the 4 essential transitions anyways. You don't really need a lot of the other ones. Cross dissolve, dip to black, dip to white. These are very, very handy and useful. So one of my favorite transitions is dip to black. I like to do dip to black at the very beginning of the video. And then when I press play, so it's fading from black. Now currently the duration of this, when we need to select the transition, do you see that right there? Okay, so if I click on my transition like I'm doing here, highlighting that box that has that's half white, half black, I can change the duration of it down at the bottom. All right, so we can change the duration of our transition up to 3 seconds. I mean, why would you want it to be longer than that anyways? Let's preview that. So I'm gonna begin recording. Not so bad. Now, if I wanted it to be longer than 3 seconds, I'd probably put like a blank black screen right there. When we take 2 clips and select them, so that there's this yellow-orange border around the 2 clips, we can choose a transition like cross dissolve, or dip to black, or dip to white, and it's going to create a transition in the middle of these 2 clips to kind of blend it together. Let's preview that. Premiere Rush. So I'm gonna begin. Did you see that transition? I'm not a fan of using transitions for similar clips. So for example, I have 2 very similar clips, same pose, same background, everything's the same, and I'm using a transition. I don't like that. I really don't like that. I think it's better to just use none in this situation whenever we're going from a cut to another cut. Now, if we're going from an inside to an outside shot, it might be more effective to use a transition there. Next, we'll move on over to color. Once we've selected color, we are able to use these presets: cinematic, film, SL Kodak, SL Bleach, SL Fuji, Mono, Noir 1, Noir 2, SL Night, SL Matrix, SL Gold. Let's go ahead and do one as a demo. Going down to cinematographic, we can see that this effect is very strong. We can bring the intensity down so that it's maybe only 14%. And perhaps you might like this as a way to kind of tone down
Premiere Rush.
The effect.
Hi guys.
We can also adjust exposure, the contrast, highlights, shadows, temperature, tint, vibrance, saturation. We can do faded film, sharpening if we needed to do any sharpening. We can vignette. Vignetting 3.00 is going to be white, and -3 is going to be -3 is going to be black vignette. We can do the feathering on the vignetting so that we have a softer rounded edge. All of these, use them with your own discretion. Next, we've got speed. Once we open up speed, we see that there's range, the range speed, the clip duration, ramp, maintain pitch, and reset. Now, range is if we wanted to pick a certain area within a clip to speed up. I could speed it up all the way up to 1000%. Let's just speed it up to about 130. Okay, we can change our clip duration. And do we want the ramp on or ramp off? And maintain pitch is very nice if we want to keep the pitch of our voice. Let's just preview that real quick.
A little video here, and I'm going to insert it into Premiere Rush.
Next is audio. Under audio, we can do our clip volume. We can mute the clip. We can choose whether it's voice, music, or other. We can do auto volume. We can do balance sound. We can reduce noise, reduce echo. We can enhance speech for male or for female. We can reset and on and off. If you needed to increase the volume of your clip, we have the ability to increase it 100%. Default is 50. And if we needed to balance sound or reduce noise. Next, we have transform. Under transform, we can basically adjust the size. We can move the image to the left or to the right. We can move it to the top or to the bottom with the V position. Rotation. The opacity. And if we wanted to scale the image.
Here, and then I'm
all interesting features. To place an image in the file, we're going to go to that plus sign, go to Media, choose Photos. Now it's placed the image after where the timeline had ended. I'm just going to drag this up to the top and put it wherever I want it to be. And on top of that, I can add a transition. I'm going to add a cross dissolve on top of that so that the transition will be smooth as it fades from the image of my face to hers. And we've got transitions on the beginning and the end. Perhaps you want to add a little narration to your video. For that, we can do voiceover, and we get the record button and just click. And it's going to go 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, I just wanted to thank you guys for subscribing to this video. And we get the voiceover down at the bottom. So we have a very dynamic video now. We've got titles, we've got video, we've got voiceover, and we've got transitions. How awesome is that? If you enjoyed this video, I offer other tutorials on some of the other Adobe applications. Please subscribe and feel free to browse some of the other videos on my channel. I'd also encourage you to please check out my website, www.leesmathersphotography.com. I'm a photographer in the greater New York City area. I offer services in portrait, wedding, and architectural photography. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.